Touch. If someone touches you, you're aware of it. How is this? How does this happen? Pain. You can feel pain from your skin, right? Now the reason is because we have nerve cells that are present in our skin. Now these have nerve endings, as you can clearly see this. So each nerve ending is specialized to detect a certain stimuli. There are those that detect changes in temperature, those that detect touch.
So we have the nerves. The nerves ending, there are some which detect heat, take pain, and also take cold. Ndio. Ukiweka mkono kwa moto, that thing which we then do now to remove it is the nerves. The nerves will deal with that, and we also have the one for cold. If the water is, how do you test? If you want to bathe, how do you test water? How? Unawekaje?
Unaweka
Inside. If it is cold in the morning, how much you don't get in the morning? But you test water before, so do you? Yes. That thing that you, it is the nerve endings that send the message.
In pressure, etc. So once they've detected this, they're going to send a signal to the brain so that the brain can then analyze, and interpret the information. Up to that point, we are done with the functions of the skin. But don't worry, as I'm discussing the structure of the skin, I'll be mentioning them again and again. Now when it comes
to
this,
don't write that. This one structure composed of 2 layers.
Yes.
And you also have additional layer. Ya tatu ni, what's the name of that one? The third one. There's a third layer. Skin is on a layer tatu. The third one is called hypodermis. Hypodermis is another layer. Hypodermis. And I'm going to show you a video for that.
It's divided into 2 main layers. The upper layer is known as the epidermis. The lower layer is known as the dermis. And as you can see from the diagram, the dermis is the thicker layer. And the reason is because
that is
a lot of the structures that are found in the skin are going to be present within the dermis, as you're going to see. So when you talk about sweat glands, blood vessels, nerve endings, hair follicles, these are present within the dermis. Now let us start. So I'm going to discuss the epidermis and then move on to the dermis. So as stated, the epidermis is the upper layer of the skin. Now this also consists of 3 layers, okay?
Epidermis composed of conified layer. We also have the granular layer and mammalian layer. So if you are asked in exam, you should be in the position of explaining conified layer. What do you know? There's a substance which is found in conified layer. How do you call it? In conified, yes? Keratin. And what's the function of keratin? Keratin. 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 You did that? Yes. Yes? The one which makes the skin to be smooth is sebum. Keratin form barrier so that the pathogen cannot enter. You also have the granular layer, a layer immediately after this, then mammalian layer. Granular, this is where we have the living cells. The living cells are here for the granular layer. That's the reason why ukijidunga hivi, before ufeel uchungu, ukidungwa nini? Sindano. Ukidungwa, for the first ikiingia you will not feel, but ikiingia ndani you will feel, si ndio? Meaning imefika kwa hii layer called granular. And this is the mammalian layer, the one which has the melanin.
So we have the conified layer, the granular layer, and the mammalian layer. So the conified layer is the uppermost layer of the epidermis. The granular layer is the middle layer. The mammalian layer is the innermost layer. Now let us start with the conified layer. Oh, I forgot. I want to show you this. I found it and I thought it was so cool. I wanted to share it with you. Look at the components. You see these components? Look at the cells that make up the conified layer, the granular layer, the mammalian layer. See how different they are? especially those of the Malpighian layer. They're so totally different from the first two layers. Let's discuss the conified layer. So the conified layer is the uppermost layer. It consists of dead cells. Yes, you had me
There's
right.
this cell called keratinocyte. Keratinocytes give us the keratin. We also have a cell called melanocytes. Give us what? Melanin. These are keratinocytes.
Has dead and in dead cells. And these cells are filled with a tough protein called keratin. Now, whenever you have a structure, you know, that is outermost on the body, and you're being told that it has dead cells and it has a tough protein, where am I leading with this? I'm leading to the fact that one of the main functions of the conified layer is providing protection. So when we talk about the skin in general, we say the skin provides protection against mechanical damage and entry of pathogens, but it's actually the outermost layer of the epidermis.
Love the function of the conified layer. Provide protection against mechanical damage and entry of pathogen, and also reduce water loss through evaporation. Reduce water loss through evaporation. And here you can see the conified layer. Conified layer is made up of the dead cells. We also have here to reduce water loss and also keep out microbes. Continue. So if there's something you have, just take
That performs this function. And this is the conified layer. So the conified layer has the following functions. Number one, provides protection against mechanical damage and entry of pathogens. And number two is it reduces the amount of water that we lose through evaporation. Now, we are continuously losing water through our skin in form of sweat, of course. So sweat evaporates from our body. And this is okay, this is normal, this is good actually. But there needs to be a balance between the amount of water that we lose and the amount of water that we take in. We cannot afford to lose too much water. So when it comes to the conified layer, they reduce the amount of water that is lost. They don't prevent water loss, they simply reduce it. Now the reason is because, as mentioned before, the cells, the dead cells, that make up the conified layer consist of keratin. Now this protein is hydrophobic, it repels water. So by doing so, it reduces the amount of water that we lose. In case you're wondering what these are pathogens, okay? So essentially what is happening is that they're hitting the barrier of the skin and coming away empty-handed. You know they cannot penetrate because we have the conified layer for this, and it acts as a barrier preventing the entry of pathogens. Now when it comes to the conified layer, it's not uniform across our body, okay? This simply means that you're going to have certain parts of the body having a thicker conified layer than others. These are the parts of the body that are exposed to a lot of friction.
where we can get it where you can see here this is the foot. This, how do you call this? Palm. You also
okay, so I'm talking about the soles of feet, palms of our hands, the knees, the elbows as such. So they have a thicker conified layer. Now, if I may ask you, if we have certain parts that have a thicker conified layer, we are definitely going to have some parts that have a very thin conified layer. Can you mention two parts that have the thinnest conified layer in our body?
mention. Swali imeulizwa hapo, si ndio? Hawadi mention hapa. Ngoja nirudishe hapa.
I'm talking about the soles of feet, palms of our hands, the knees, the elbows as such. So they have a thicker conified layer. Now, if I may ask you, if we have certain parts that have a thicker conified layer, we are definitely going to have some parts that have a very thin conified layer. Can you mention two parts that have the thin?
Which parts of the body have the thinnest conified layer? Yes.
Armpit.
Yes.
Armpit.
Armpit. Another one. Elbow. Yes? Knees. If I may ask. Hizo maswali mlipata hizo nini? Armpit, ribs, which group? Yes? The one which has, yes.
The palms of the eye.
Apart from the palm of the eye, of the arms and the what, the foot. Another one. Kuna mwenye amesema armpits, ndio? So let's now wait and see.
Conified layer in our body. Just think about it. I'm going to give you a hint. They're both found on our face. There we have
They
it.
are both found
So we
on our
have
face.
the area around our
So ni
eyes.
gani?
Lips.
Yes. It is lips. Tuko sawa?
Yeah.
Yes, it is lips. Another one. Ni gani? The conified layer, that's the reason why. Saa hizi mtu ukichunwa hivi kiasi, you will not feel it, si ndio? What about kwa lips? Try kufinya lips yako hivi. What do you feel? Nika uchungu, si ndio? Because the conified layer there, kidogo. The keratin level is less compared to that. So there's another one.
There are also ornaments. These have the thinnest conified layer. Now, if I want to give you this example, to put this into perspective, the conified layer of the soles of the feet can be as thick as 4 millimeters, but that surrounding our eyes can be as thin as 0.5 millimeters. Do you see the difference between these two? Yes. Now moving on to the next, the granular layer. Remember we said that the epidermis is divided into 3, conified, granular, mammalian.
That is now granular. Remember this where I said we have the what? The living cells, ndio? Yes, and
Sijashika, nimeshika kwa
On to the granular layer. Now this is
na
the
sinatoa
layer.
yote.
The cells contain granules, small particles that are visible under the microscope. These are particles that contain so health. Now when these cells die, they give rise to the conified layer. I'm going to show you this. See? This is the mammalian layer, this is the granular layer, and this is the conified layer. So the mammalian layer is the one that gives rise to the granular layer. Once the granular cells have died, they form the conified layer. You see the way they are? They become these large and thin stacks of cells, okay? That on the granular layer, there's not much to say about it. Just that it's the middle layer, the cells contain granules, and when these cells die, they form the conified layer. Now moving on to the third, the innermost layer of the epidermis, and that is the mammalian layer. Now, this is made up of cells that actively divide. Whenever you hear this term, actively divide, it simply says that. Now, whenever you hear this term, actively divide, it simply means that the cells undergo cell division. Now, cell division is literally that. You're going to have a cell dividing to form 2 new cells. So this is cell division. Now in this case, it occurs through mitosis. So mitosis is a type of cell division whereby you're going to have one cell dividing to form 2 identical cells. Now I want you to look at this. You see this? This is a mammalian cell that is undergoing cell division. It's not yet complete, but it's almost there. So what will happen is that over time, the cytoplasm is going to constrict itafinya hapa, separating this, leading to the formation of 2 cells. So are you seeing that sequence? The mammalian cells undergo cell division, leading to the formation of granular cells. And then granular cells on dying give rise to the conified cells. And this is how the epidermis is formed. So essentially, it's the mammalian layer that is responsible for giving rise to the whole epidermis. The mammalian layer consists of cells that are referred to as melanocytes. Now these cells contain
this one was the cell which I was talking about. Melanocyte. Give us what?
Melanin. I think this is something that we've already had before, right?
Yes.
Melanin. Now why is melanin important? It has 2 functions. Number one, it absorbs UV rays from the sun. Now when it comes to the
Tumbo
main
yake.
function of the wood, of the melanin. So absorb ultraviolet rays and also give color to the skin. And also give color. Unaona huyo? No, melanin is good. People normally say black is beauty. See there?
Yes.
Black beauty. So meaning those who are black,
They are beautiful.
they are beauty. Beautiful. The more the melanin,
They know the beauty.
the more the beauty.
Yes.
But you will realize that the melanin is very important because first thing it absorbs ultraviolet rays. So those who have more melanin are not affected with, they are not much affected with the sun. Hata kitembea kwa jua. Si sana vile. The one who has less melanin also gives the color to the skin. So all of us here have melanin, but the concentration differs. Like I have a lot of melanin.
Haushindi kwa leo.
Yes?
You are white.
I'm white. I'm black.
Uko na chlorine.
what happens is that they can penetrate the uppermost layer of our skin and interact with the cell. They can lead to changes in the DNA and can also lead to changes in the cell structure itself, which can result in skin cancer. As you can imagine, this is horrific. So melanin plays a role in reducing the effect of the ultraviolet rays. And that is the reason why when you have
Like this person, this one I think is being affected with too much sunlight.
Yes.
Because of the color.
Yes.
So,
that live in areas that, where there is a high exposure to ultraviolet rays, they tend to have more melanin in their skin, so a darker skin color. For protection, of course. Now, the second function of melanin is that it gives color to our skin. And that is that. By the way, melanin is not only found in our skin, it's also found in our hair and yes, in our eyes. The more melanin you have, the darker the color.
are you getting that?
I have
The
a
more
question.
melanin you have,
Regarding bleaching
darker the-
products, we know that when it comes to bleaching products, what happens is that they lighten the skin color. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I want you to tie this to the information that I've just relayed to you. How do the bleaching products
And the
affect
more melanin you have,
melanin?
that was there. The more melanin, the richer.
huyo anapendeza mood.
Very important. There's this lady who normally walks. Sijui ni ya beauty. Wachana na konde. Kuna ule anakuanga tall hivi.
Mrs. Omolo. Huyo msichana
This man kutoka msichana. Kipara. Wa Kisumu sijui sana. Have you seen the way the melanin is concentrated? But the lady is black beauty, isn't it? Yes. So the more melanin,
anafanana na huyu.
Specifically the melanocytes. How do they work? The reason why
Na
they
msichana
work
lips
is
yake
because
inafanana na yangu.
these bleaching products, most of them contain heavy metals such as mercury. So what happens is that they end up killing melanocytes. So if you have melanocytes dying, that means that overall you're going to produce less melanin and therefore you're going to have skin lighten. But it's temporary. Temporary meaning that immediately you stop using the products, what happens is that you revert to your normal skin color. Because the amount of melanin that you have in your melanocytes is determined by your genes, which cannot be affected by the bleaching products. So it's temporary. By the way, these are really harmful. So that is that with regards to the mammalian layer. Now just a brief summary. The skin is divided into two layers. The upper layer is referred to as the epidermis and the lower layer is the dermis. The epidermis is divided into three
Imeanza.
layers. The codified layer